We are going to come into a practice in a moment, so having your props ready and available for you. So your bolster, your blankets, your blocks, an eye pillow if you've got one, and just being in a warm, dimly lit and quiet room for yourself today. So let's start seated and just make yourself comfortable here. And welcome to this very special restorative class. And this marks the halfway point for the 30 days of yoga in November for the Samaritans. And if you are one of those fundraisers that is proceeding to do yoga every day, well done. And thank you for raising money for the charity. Sounds like they're doing pretty well with raising about 45,000 already. And we're only halfway through. But for anyone else that's joining us, then and you haven't been taking part in the 30 days, then this restorative practice is for you as well. So let's start comfortably. You can use a block or a bolster to sit on. I'm sitting on a zafu here, and you can take your hands out to the knees with the palms face up, or you might just wish to rest them in your lap here. Maybe choosing to close the eyes or taking a soft gaze. And start some steady breathing in and out of the nostrils. And just noticing how you feel in these moments as you breathe. Notice if you are holding any tightness or tension within the mind or the body. Allowing the breath to flow freely, without effort and without force. Using the inhale to travel around the body, and using the exhale to release deeper, relax a little more. And you can be nice and comfortable in this seat here. We don't have to be too rigid. Just be firm yet relaxed with your seated posture. Relaxing through the facial expression. Relaxing the temples, the teeth and the jaw. And restorative yoga is a slow, deeply relaxing and releasing, nourishing style of yoga for the mind and the body. And it was originally created by BKS Iyengar to use with props to support and hold the body. So always bearing in mind any conditions, any injuries. When you're coming into these postures, we hold them for a number of minutes. But the props are holding you. So it's important to remember that you're not holding yourself up in any way. Starting to slow down the exhale breath. So counting for 4 breaths on your inhale and 8 breaths on your exhale. So 8 counts on your exhale. So breathing in for 4, 3, 2, and 1. And exhaling for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Breathing in for 4. Breathing out for 8. Breathing in for 4. Breathing out for 8. Last round, breathing in for 4. Breathing out for 8. Long, slow, steady breath. Engages the vagus nerve and introduces the parasympathetic nervous system. And returning to a steady and even count of breath, inhaling and exhaling of equal length. And then just start to bring some movement back into the fingers. So starting to circle the wrists, gently mobilize and soften through the wrist joint, circling one way and the other. And then circling through the shoulders, just lifting the shoulders up towards the ears and circle all the way back. By breathing in as you lift the shoulders up, breathing out as you circle back. Breathing in and breathe out. Last time, breathing up and in and down and out. And then dropping the chin towards the chest, start to take a gentle forward fold, walking the hands forward. And just relax the shoulders away from the ears. You may not have to go too deep here, that's okay. Breathe through the back body, relax the head and the neck. Start to walk the fingertips back towards the body as you roll up. Last thing to come up is the crown of the head, hands sweep back behind you. And then gently lift the chest, open up the collarbones, and maybe the gaze goes to the sky. Just lift out of the lower back here, opening the middle and the upper back. Bring yourself center and take a gentle twist around to the left, opening up the chest to the side. And bringing yourself back into center and taking it to the other side. Exhale maybe as you deepen into that rotation. Inhale as you lengthen the spine. Bring yourself back into center, lifting up the right arm, taking over a little lateral extension here, reaching over. Keep lifted through the side body and just feel any tension release out of the rib cage. Steady flow of breath. Breathe in, bring yourself back into center, and breathe out over to the other side. And again, just notice any differences as you go to the opposite side. And bring back into center and use the hands to lift the knees together, and then just give yourself a big hug here. So relax the body over the thighs, relax the head to the knees, and just relax the shoulders. Let the head relax too. And let's come to all fours. So I have actually laid out our first posture props ready, but that's okay. We can get into that in a minute, but just coming to all fours here and just swaying out a little bit through the hips. So just start to introduce a few circles If the wrists are a little bit uncomfortable, you can always bring a blanket to lift up the wrists here. Just releasing the hips back towards the heels. And if you're on a hard surface, you might wish to pad out the knees. And then a few rounds of cat and cow here. So breathing in as you look forward, gently dropping through the belly, and the exhale, curl into the cat. Breathing in, looking forward for your cow, pressing away from the mat, and exhaling into cat. Let's repeat that twice more. And just finding mobility through your spine. Whatever week, whatever day you have had. And if you've been practicing yoga every day, I'm hoping that you're quite mobile at this point. And last time, into that cat pose. And bring yourself back into neutral. So our first posture is our supported child's pose. So if you have a look here, I have a bolster over 2 blocks, and then I have a blanket on the top there. So depending on how you find your child's pose, we're going to be there for 5 minutes. So you can always use that blanket underneath the ankles if they are a little tight, or the tops of the feet, or even behind the knees. So you can choose where you place another blanket. We're going to come forward, and the hands thread through and under the blocks here. So bring yourself as close to the bolster as you can, and then use the bolster to support the belly, and maybe you keep that head nicely supported as you come down onto the bolster. So I'm not going to be talking too much through these postures. I want you to find your own experience. I will guide you in, and then I'll let you know when it's time to come out, but really feel held and supported, and make sure that you are warm and comfortable, turning onto one side of your cheek. So we're about halfway through now. So if you'd like to lift the head and move the head to the other side, you can always do that. Give the neck an equal stretch. And taking a few deeper breaths now, just to prepare you to come out of the posture. Start to lift the hands away from underneath. And just gently curl through the spine, just gently pressing up through the mat as you start to roll up through the spine. And just feel the spine nice and long. Caroline, I think you might have frozen there. So I hope you are still hearing and seeing what we've got going on. So coming into second posture, which is called Stonehenge. So we can still use the bolster. And this way we want to place the 2 blocks with your bolster on top. Now I've got 2 different types of bolster. So I'm going to change to the second type of bolster here to place this. So really make sure that you've got your Stonehenge very, very secure there. And then I'm going to place a blanket down. And this is where I'm going to be lying down on my back. And we're going to put our legs up over the Stonehenge. So bring the buttocks in a little bit. Make sure the knees really rest over the top of the bolster. Shuffle in a little bit closer and make sure that that bolster is not going to fall in any way, and really allow the feet to soften and relax. Then bringing the head down to the mat, and again you can always use another blanket to support and hold the head and neck. Arms can come out to the side, palms just face up to the sky, fingertips are lightly curling. Make any tiny final adjustments. It's important with restorative poses that we find stillness and not moving throughout the hold. And we're here for a little bit longer than we were in our child's pose. So really close the eyes and allow the pelvis and the hips to drop down into the mat. Spread the waist, spread the rib cage, spread the shoulders. Relax and soften through the neck and throat and face. Beginning to take a deeper breath. Just bring awareness back to prepare to move. Wiggle the fingers, wiggle the toes. And just gently lift the arms and the legs into a full dead bug position. Up to the sky, the arms and legs can be straight or bent. And then just give yourself a little wiggle through the pelvis, through the spine. Mobilize the feet and the hands. And then just roll over to one side. Just pause there for a moment. No rush to come up. And then lightly use your hand to press yourself up. And let's come into our next posture, which is a prone posture. So you can use, again, blankets to support. And we're going to be taking away the blocks this time. And we're going to use the bolster all the way down the center of your mat. And we're going to be in a prone position, lying on top of the bolster. And if you need to, you can use a blanket to pad out the ankles behind you. So again, it takes a few minutes to set up for each of your postures. Then bringing yourself down, we want to get the hips just on the end of the bolster and the blanket to support the ankles. So probably need to take that back just a touch. Then we need to support the head and the neck here. So you can use a block and then place a blanket on top of the block. So bringing yourself down. Allow the weight to come through the pelvis, the hips, the pubic bone, the belly. Spread out the rib cage either side of your bolster. And the arms can either be resting by the side of you with the palms face up by your hips, or they might be out in front of you and just holding on to the block or the blanket. And again, you can choose to turn the head to one side and rest on the cheek. And beginning to take a few deeper breaths now again to prepare yourself for movement. And just bringing the hands back underneath the shoulders and just press yourself up nice and gently. Just pulling yourself back into a tabletop position here. And again, you might wish to find that swaying out of the hips, the circles one way and the other, and then a round of cat and cow. And then coming into our forward fold. So using blocks, bolster, and blankets as you need. So it's going to be a seated forward fold with the legs out in front of us. And you may wish to kind of leave the bolster in the center of your legs. You may wish to place the bolster on top of your legs. You can, of course, have the knees bent, and then the bolster can come underneath the knees, and you allow the belly and the chest to fall over. And again, it's important to support the head. So if you are doing it that way, then you can use the blocks to support the head. And I'm going to take a different variation, which is bringing the bolster in front of me here. Remember to support the head and the neck. And folding forward. Relaxing through the head, the face, the neck, the shoulders. Breathing through the back body as you come into this gentle flexion of the spine. And beginning to take a few deeper breaths. Start to press away from the floor so you can uncurl the spine, keeping the head down as long as possible. Start to bring the shoulders back in line with the hips, and then start to slowly lift the head. Looking forward, feeling the length through your spine, through the back of your legs. And let's come into our reclined posture of fish pose. So I'm going to change over the bolster. And fish pose is a supported back bend. So again, it's really important to support the head and the neck. And again, you can always have that blanket underneath the ankles, or you might prefer to go into a butterfly pose or a supported butterfly. So making sure there's just a little bit of space between you and your bolster here, so you can bring yourself back nice and comfortably. And again, making sure that the head and the neck are supported with that blanket, and make sure that you feel comfortable in this supported fish, because it is a gentle and soft back bend, but we don't want to be in a place of pain here. So if the bolster is too high for you, you can always use a thick pillow or even just a rolled up blanket in the center of your spine. Arms can come out to the sides, palms face up, and relax again the head. Breathe out and relax the facial expression. Relax the jaw, the teeth, and the throat. And allow the collarbones to open, the rib cage to mold itself over your bolster or pillow or blanket. And once more, just deepening your breath. Nice deep, slow inhale and exhale, just to bring awareness back. Start to wiggle the fingers. Bring the elbows closer to the body so that you can lift the head and the neck nice and gently to look along the body. And then press up through the forearms to bring yourself up. And take away all of your props for a moment and just lie back in Shavasana just to feel how the body responds when you take away the prop. Notice that we've just done a forward fold of a flexion of the spine and then an extension of the spine in that soft and gentle back bend of supported fish. So just allow the body to react and respond. We're just going to have a little bit of free movement before we come into our final relaxation in Shavasana. So start to bring the knees up towards the chest. You can lengthen the neck. You can rock from side to side so that you can give yourself a little massage into the sacrum, the pelvis, top of the hips, the waist, the lower, the middle back. Then take the fingertips up onto the tops of the knees and just guide the knees outwards independently of one another. Just draw some circles just to release into the hip joint. And circle the other way. So not much of this practice was working into the hips. It was more about relaxation into the spine and just finding a little bit of peace and calm. Then maybe you want to take a little soft happy baby where you can take hold of the ankles, not onto the feet. That's quite a harsh happy baby. So you can rock from side to side and the feet can be relaxed here. And again, just notice how the hips respond. And then bring yourself back into center. Place the soles of the feet on the wider edges and drop the knees in towards one another. So just feel how the inward rotation of the hips relates to your pelvis, your belly, your spine releases. Arms out to the side as you relax the feet and toes. And then bringing the feet together into parallel, just shifting the hips over to the left side of your mat and just drop the hips over to the right. Drop the knees over to the right. Just a gentle twist here. You can hold on to that knee. So just a little bit of weight. You're not forcing it down. Couple of breaths. Breathe into the spine. Breathe into tightness. Breathe out, letting go even further. Bring back into the center. Realign hips and pelvis and then shift them over to the right. So actually lift them up and move them over to the right side of the mat. And then again, you've got that gentle reclined twist or supine twist. And that left hand can just rest on top of the right knee, adding just a little bit of weight. Breathe out through the spine. Breathe out through the side body and also the side of your leg. And then bring the knees back into center. And this is where we prepare for our final relaxation in Shavasana. So if you have got lights on, probably best to turn those off so that you are in darkness. And you can use your props here. So you've got your bolster. You can place that underneath your knees. You can use a blanket for the head and an eye pillow if you have one, And also to make sure that you keep yourself warm. So if you have another blanket, just popping that over you, the body tends to drop. The body temperature tends to drop when we're in any meditation, and particularly Shavasana. So making sure that you've got all the space that you need around you, and you're not going to be disturbed for the next 5 or 6 minutes of your practice. Widening the feet to the outer edges of your mat and just relax through the toes, relax the ankles, let the knees just soften and open, relax the thighs, let the hips release, feel the pelvis get heavier, relax the belly, relax the lower spine. Start to release and relax the rib cage. We're not just breathing through the lungs, we're breathing through the entire body. So feel the breath traveling everywhere. Relax the chest and the shoulders. Let the arms become heavier. The palms are facing up and the fingers are just gently curling. There's no tension in the hands or the wrists. Make sure the head and the neck are supported. You're not drawing the chin towards the chest or lifting the chin high. The neck is in line with the rest of the spine. The throat is soft. And the facial expression is relaxed. Forehead, temples, cheeks, and teeth. Now feel the body as one. Slow down the mind. Steady and slow, deepening breaths. Slow down the heart rate. And find complete stillness with that mind and body connection. Always becoming present in this moment, not allowing yourself to be distracted to past and future thoughts. If you find yourself wandering, return to the breath and return to the physical sensations as you lie in Shavasana. I'll let you know when it's time to come back around. Beginning to take a few deeper breaths. Breathing in for 4, breathing out for 8. Start to bring awareness back to your surroundings, back onto your mat and into the body by bringing soft and gentle movement to the hands, to the feet. Rolling the head from side to side to release tightness and tension into the neck. Giving yourself a big stretch as you just interlace the fingers up above the head, stretching the body. And it's these precious moments as we awaken from Shavasana that you only need for yourself. So take your time. Draw the knees in towards the chest as you start to roll and massage out through the spine. And then rolling over to one side into an embryo posture and just pausing there. Just taking a moment to notice how the body feels, how the mind feels, and how do you feel? And then pressing through to come back up into your seated posture where we began our practice together. And once again, just sitting tall. Hands are either in the lap or just resting out on the knees. And just taking note again how you feel as you come to seated. Give yourself a little bit of a smile for investing the time in you today, this evening, preparing you for your Friday evening and your weekend ahead. And always reminding yourself to thank your body and your breath and your focus to find stillness in restorative yoga. And I thank you for joining us today and have a wonderful weekend. Namaste.